so this is our next scenario. And we're going to be talking about what makes a scientist a scientist. Okay? What is it? So, what do you think makes someone a scientist?
Having people, they have to be very smart.
Okay.
They have to be able to find things easily.
Okay.
And they can't be idiots.
All right.
And they have to, they can't be lazy.
Okay. They can't
Or
be
else
lazy.
they'd just be sitting around all day doing nothing.
Okay. Good. So scientists are not lazy people?
No.
And what kind of things do they have to find? You said they have to find things.
They have to find dinosaur bones.
Okay.
And basically data.
Okay. Data for whatever kind of question they have?
Yeah.
Okay. How do they do their work? Well, you said they collected data. They collect data. So what do they do when they can't see exactly what they're studying? Like, what if they're an astronomer who can't fly to a planet to look at the
They
planet?
look through a microscope. A microscope.
A microscope? I bet you mean telescope.
Yeah.
So they use some kind of information that can help them, some kind of technology or something that might help them. Have you ever seen a scientist or known a scientist?
Yes.
And who's that?
Your dad.
Okay. And
Albert Einstein.
yeah, good point. What do they do that makes you think they're a scientist?
Albert Einstein collected data.
Okay.
I don't know that much about him because he lived way back in the,
Right. You didn't really ever meet him or anything.
No.
Neither did I. Yeah. Now, how about your grandpa? What do you think makes him a scientist?
He also collects data.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I just have to brag. He made an invention called the ALEC.
Yeah, which is really your name.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So he invented some things that solve some problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Would you call yourself a scientist?
I don't know. I'm too young to figure that
To
out.
figure that out, yeah, you're too young to figure. What would you have to do to become a scientist, do you think?
I'd have to grow up very, very smart.
Well, there is a story about a lady that I'd like to tell you about. And she loved birds. You know my student Ingrid?
Yes.
She loves birds, I'll tell you. The thing about her, and Ingrid, and the other lady that I'm talking about, is that she traveled all around the world to study them because she thinks they're interesting. So when she was traveling, she noticed that the birds had a whole bunch of different kind of shapes of beaks. They don't all look the same. Some of them were long and thin, like this guy's right here.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were short and tiny, like this one. So I want you to check those out. What do you think that they might do with those beads? Those different beaks?
The small and thin one,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that since they're thin and small, it's about the size of a worm.
Ah.
So worms could fit in.
So it might suck up a worm. What about this guy? What's
That
this
guy
one?
looks like he eats, it's like walnuts or something.
Walnuts or something? And here's some walnuts right here. Do you think that, which bird do you think would be most likely to eat a walnut? That guy?
This guy.
How about these seeds? I have a bunch of seeds here. Which seeds would you think would go? You can open the bags if you want to put some seeds towards different birds. Because there's the long, pointy beads and the short, stocky ones.
I think this one would
That's okay. So
long-
why would you
the
think
long
the
one.
tiny ones would go for the long, pointy beak?
The thin ones and that are, because it's about like the shape of their beak.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And
so it
these-
matches the shape.
The beads.
The bigger beads? Is that what you think? Calling the beads?
The little beans. or whatever
Okay.
they are.
Uh-huh.
I think this one
Yeah, they're hard to hold on to.
would,
I agree.
would go with this guy because he has a beak shaped like that.
Okay. So you're thinking that the shape of the beak matches with what kind of food they might eat?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
And this bag, I think that this guy would eat that because it actually looks exactly like the shape.
Oh,
That's-
sure does, doesn't it? Look, even has the same lines as it. Okay. So he would eat those
And
seeds.
these little, like those tan seeds,
Uh-huh.
looks like that.
Okay, good.
So I'm guessing that they'll eat that.
Okay.
And these big ones, is that a Fruit Loops?
I can't tell. I don't know.
But these ones, this one is bigger, and this guy has the bigger beak, so
Mhm.
he would eat these. And basically, this guy would eat small ones, and this guy would eat big ones.
Okay. And why would you think that this guy would eat big ones and this
He
guy
has a
would eat-
bigger mouth, and this one's a smaller mouth.
Okay, so their foods might be different based on their shapes. Do you think by figuring that out right now, giving yourself a little bit of a looking at those patterns of those foods versus those beaks, do you think you are acting like a scientist right now?
Yes.
Good. And how were you acting like a scientist?
Because I was trying to figure out which one of whatever these things are,
Seeds.
seeds would each bird eat.
Okay, good. All right, so that lady did that same experiment, and she was fascinated by the bird beaks and the different kinds of seeds that they seem to eat. She was using the following question. Here's her question in her brain: is there a connection between the kinds of bird beaks I see and the kinds of food that they eat? Do you think that is a question that a scientist would ask?
I think it would be.
Good. Why would that be a scientific question?
Because
So she's looking at these seeds and she's looking at these beaks. Why is that scientist? Why is that a science thing?
they're trying to figure out which one would,
Okay. So whether there's a connection. Is her work an experiment?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that an experiment? What do you think?
He was trying to, match up the seeds.
Mm-hmm. Good. Match up the seeds. Good. Okay. What do you think she should do next to see if there is a connection between bird beaks and the kinds of seeds they eat?
Trying
What do you think she should do next to see if there is a connection between bird beaks and the kinds of seeds they
trying
eat?
to
What should she do?
Trying to feed them to the birds.
Good. So she might try to feed all these different seeds to the birds, and then what will she notice? What will she be looking for?
If she thinks that, like this one would, the seed would go inside this bird's mouth, to see
Okay.
if the seed would go inside the mouth.
Okay, so she's going to watch to see what they eat off of these seeds.
Yeah.